Welcome to another episode of the Jobology podcast. I'm your host, Brandon, and today my guest is a parking attendant slash valet driver. His name is Andrew, and he's going to talk to us about the nicest car he's ever got to drive, and he's going to tell us a story about getting some money in a brown paper bag. So without further ado, Andrew. Thank you for being with me today, Andrew.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. Something we always like to kind of get started with, and maybe I kind of just introed it there a little bit, but if I were to ask you, hey, what are you doing for a living? How would you answer that versus like, what's your official job title?
I would answer just parking attendant or valet because that's what people would like, know valet right off the bat when you say it, especially where I'm at in Las Vegas, you
Mhm.
say valet, everyone's like, whoa, you have a valet job? Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
especially back in the day. I mean, things have
yeah.
changed a little bit with the whole pay for parking. It's kind of gone Cali
Mm,
style kind of thing, pay for parking
interesting.
now.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That does kind of change things. Like I forgot about that of them changing over to that now because now it's like, well, we got to pay either way.
Right.
I guess I guess I just do it myself, but I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it's more like California style now because everyone out there are like valet or parking. I mean, park yourself. It's all pay for parking, and so now it ventured out here, and now we're doing it. But it's I don't know. I think people are still tipping, which is awesome. We were super blessed for that, super thankful for that, and it's just insane how it just progressed like that. And I'm still working valet though. That's the thing. I didn't have to go look for another job, even though there's pay
That's
for
good.
parking. So that is a big plus. I mean,
Yeah.
it is a good job where I work. I work in a well renowned hotel on the Strip in Las Vegas, and I've
Nice.
been there for 18 years now. Yeah.
Okay, and then Vegas, man, there could be some wild stories, I'm sure that,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
that we
Yes.
can or can't talk
We
about.
can't.
So,
Yeah.
let's keep moving on past that. Um,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
why get into valeting in the first place? Is it, did you just need a job and you're like, I'm gonna do this? Was it something that somebody told you should do? Like how'd you fall into that in the first place?
Oh, good question. I remember like it was yesterday.
Nice.
Uh, it was my uncle. He called me up while I was in class in high school,
Oh wow.
and it was like during lunch break or something like that in high school. And he goes, "Hey nephew, I might have a job for you." And it was like right like the last month of high school because you had to be 18 to be a valet parking attendant,
Oh
at
wow.
least the
Okay.
time when I was getting in. So you had to be at least
Sure.
18. And so he's like, you want a job? I was like, or at least interview. I'm like, sure. So I didn't know how to drive a stick yet though. So I was like, well, okay, wait a minute, I got to know how to drive a
Oh,
stick.
dang,
So
you're
my
answering all my questions that I have later on hidden for you. I'm like, "Oh, I got these, like, in the bag,"
yep,
But
it's
so
a
you
great.
do have to know how to drive stick eventually, I'm assuming.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Well, the thing is, yeah. Well, nowadays technology is kind of, you don't really
Mhm.
need to as much. There's not as much stick out there. Manual, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, my uncle let me borrow his little, his little Toyota Tacoma, I think is what it was, to practice,
Mhm.
like a month before the interview, and I interviewed, and it's, I think, I mean, a lot in Vegas, but I think anything you do, it's like who you know, really who
Of
you know, at
course.
least to get you started, to get you
Yeah,
into that door, to get you rolling. It definitely helps with whatever you do,
for sure.
and your personality and your, just being, if you just have that energy, you could just roll with it.
That
Right.
drive
Absolutely.
for no pun intended.
But yeah, so I interviewed. I still interviewed and everything, and but I
Mhm.
got the job right away. But I didn't get as a valet attendant right off the bat. I got it off as a podium attendant, which was
Okay.
basically people would hand me their tickets, and then I would give them to the drivers, to the valet
Gotcha.
parking attendants, and then they would go get the cars and yada yada. So I started off like
Gotcha.
that. Usually that's how you start.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that's basically like in a nutshell,
Yeah.
is how I got it. My uncle called me in high school and say, "Hey, you want a job?" I'm like, "All right, I'll go for that."
Boom.
It's a great
Hey.
job to start after high school, and I'm still doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is a way though that a lot of people can get, again, like you kind of said, your foot in the door where it's like,
Yeah.
how would you know otherwise unless somebody either in the industry or, works
Hmm.
for the same property or something like that goes, hey, there's this opening. I think you'd be great at it. It could be lucrative for you in the future. Take a shot.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, and then I'm assuming like you were saying, you started in high school, so I'm assuming this you don't need like a college degree for this or,
Mm-mm.
nothing like that. You can just kind of if there's an opening and you apply, you're in.
Yes, right. It was right after high school, so it was after I graduated. I started. So school ended in June, and then I got the job the next month in July, like July 19th is when I started, like
Oh
right
wow.
after high school. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, no college degree, anything like that. It's just what this job really entails, like what it's for is really for college students, for
Mhm.
college students. That's what the way I look at it in a nutshell to start off as
Sure.
well. Just because it's a great job, especially in Vegas, because it's 24/7.
Yeah.
You can work graveyard 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. and then go to school at 10 a.m. or 9 a.m. Do your thing, still make money though from 12 to 8. Come to
Yeah.
school, have some money in your pocket,
I
do your
mean,
thing.
yeah, you could do that if you're a grinder. If you're me,
Yeah.
you can't do that. If you're me, you
or
cannot do that.
or even the other way around, like you go
Sure.
to school in the morning and then you can work midnight, like
After.
4 to
Okay.
midnight, 4 p.m. to like afterwards, kind of thing. So it's so like flexible, I guess, with like hours, which is
Yeah.
I think what really one of the reasons why I kept doing it, because I was doing school and valet at the time, after right once I graduated from high school, because I went into
Mhm.
to college, CSN and UNLV afterwards. I didn't stick through it. A couple life hit me a little bit
Yeah.
down the road, kind of thing, which
Things
happens,
happen,
but
is what it is. But I
absolutely.
mean, at least you have a job that you can fall back on that,
Oh
is
yeah.
something you can succeed at. Um,
Oh
so that's cool. That's a good
yeah.
I think that's a good thing for again, kind of like we said, like people to realize is like, hey, there's not always just, the one path to thing, go to school, graduate, get a job,
Yeah.
do the
Well,
whole
sometimes
blah blah
right.
blah.
Sometimes there's bends in the
There's
road. Sometimes there's
variations. Yep.
curves in the road.
Exactly.
You know, still
Exactly.
trying to get back to school, but I'm still blessed with this job and this like it really can you can look at it as a career. It all depends on your mindset and how you look at it. But I mean, great insurance, great paying job. I mean, the pension, the tips, you get cash every day. Like the scenario that I'm in, it really is a career for some of these guys, because some of these guys that I work with are older.
Sure.
They're in their 40s, 50s, and I think one or two is in their 60s actually.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's
So
cool though. I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Um, you kind of mentioned the shift length there, maybe in passing, but like a 4 to 8 or a midnight to so or it's 8 hour increments of shift, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's like because we yeah, it's usually like a 4 to midnight, 4 to 12
Okay.
is swing shift, and then 12 to 8 a.m. is graveyard, they
Okay.
consider, and then 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the day shift.
Gotcha. Is there one that you prefer over any of them?
Well, man, almost the 18 years I've been there, I would say 16 years of it has been swing shift, 4 p.m. to
Okay.
12. Yeah, or
Oof.
like right now I'm 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. kind of thing, but
Okay.
give or
But
take,
in
the
that
shift.
range. Okay.
Correct, correct,
Gotcha.
correct. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Um, what something that fascinates me with all jobs that part of the reason why I love doing this so much
Mhm.
is that I really like to learn like what it's like for an average day. So like if you go, "Hey, what does a valet do?" I would be like, "Well, they park cars, I'm sure they got to like run around a lot, I'm sure they got to keep
They get their
organization of
steps
like
in.
yeah, of where things are exactly." But
Yeah.
if you went, "Okay, well, what do you think I do? Break it down hour by hour kind of thing." I have no idea. Like I don't
Okay.
know if you get in and you put your stuff down and then you're right there grabbing keys ready to
Yes.
go,
Lamborghini's waiting for me.
right? Hey, we got a
Right.
question about that later too. So what does an average day kind of look like for you? Like when you get in, do you have to, is there a check-in process? Is there, something like that? Or is it like, hey, I get there and we're off to the races?
Yeah, it's man, it's such a simple gig, and that's what's like beautiful about it. Like with my job too, it's that's the beauty of what I do. It's you go into work, you put in 8 hours, and you go home. There's not a ninth, 10th, 11th hour that stresses you out. Like
Right.
so with some other jobs that it's just it can be long. It could be just it could drag out the whole day kind of thing. But no,
Yeah.
I come into work. I have a badge. I would clock in, and then I have a signed sheet as well. I have to sign that as well, just to make sure I get paid.
Yeah. It's always important. Yep. Always important.
Yep, yep. So then I do that, and then I'm off to the races, like you said. I'll come in. I'll come into work, and we go to the driveway. That's where people come in to wanted a valet, and I have my tickets that I'll have to hand to guests. And I just go one car at a time. If there's any cars in the driveway, I walk up to the guest. I give them my spiel,
Mhm.
and I go from there. We'll park. Well, I say we park probably. It all depends on the day. That's the thing. That's the hardest thing. Like I would say, weekends. Weekends are the
Oh man,
busiest. So
I could only
yeah, I
imagine,
would
or like a
say
holiday or something,
yeah, yeah,
like a
right.
Memorial Day weekend or Fourth of July weekend. I
Yeah,
can only imagine.
it's
Jeez.
it's so hard to tell, like, how, like, average wise on how many cars I park, but we stay busy. Like I would say per hour per valet attendant, maybe I would say on a busy day, maybe park 20, pull 20 kind of thing,
Oh
on
my
busy
god. Okay,
time.
that was
You know?
way more than I was thinking. I was if you gave me a guess, I was gonna say like 5 an hour, 6 an hour. I don't know. 20.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it can. Well, yeah, with like a busy weekend, like a fight night, or a
Oh
show going
yeah,
on. Like we have performers that come in at our theater.
concerts.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. So it really varies, but I think that's why I love it so much, and that's probably why I've been here so long, because I'm an active person, and I
Yeah.
love the movement. I love the movement. I mean, I'm not a sit in the
That's
chair kind of guy, or at least I haven't had an opportunity to sit in a
true.
chair.
Hey, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. But that also it makes the day go by faster. Like, I mean, if you're sitting there clock watching the whole time and you're like, "Okay, well,
Right,
it's only been 30 minutes. Okay, how long has it been now? 35 minutes." You're
right.
like, "What the heck is going on?" Yeah, but if you're just moving, 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 then they're like, "Okay, time for you to go." You're like, "Wait, what? I just got here."
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm outside.
Okay.
I'm outside. I don't have to breathe in. No offense to those that work inside a
Mhm.
casino, but I don't have to breathe in that smoke.
That's
That's the
true.
one thing too. Like that's the one thing
It's
that
a
I'm
big
like, man,
perk.
I'm still yeah, I'm an outdoor guy myself already, but then I'm outside. I don't have to breathe in all that those fumes inside the
Mhm.
casino. It's kind of
Well, and just like
unfortunate, but
stale air.
it's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've all been in the
I
casino
get that
before.
vibe.
It's not the best
Yeah,
smell, for sure. I mean, I do
true.
have to deal with that exhaust for sure, but
Yeah, that's a little different.
it kind of spreads out
Yeah,
better than it does in a casino, I guess I would say,
I
with the
agree.
smoke there. Yeah.
I would agree.
So, yeah, that's a plus for sure too.
Okay. So we get there, we check in, we get there, we start doing, and then it's just back and forth
Yeah.
cars all day.
Yeah. Cars. Yeah. Whatever cars come in, I mean, that's who I'm attending to. Every guest, I'm at their service. I'm at their service. Whatever they need, whether they're checking in the hotel, directions. We have a lot of Uber now. Uber's a big part of our job, of every hotel, every casino,
Mhm.
every driveway and valet. So giving directions to guests, and just helping guests get to where they need to go in the casino. Just if they want valet, because now there's a charge for parking for valet and for self parking, so I have to make sure I let them know, like, hey, you know valet's this much but self parking's this much. I got to give them their options, because there
Sure.
has been times where if we don't, they're like, hey, you didn't tell me valet was this much. What the heck's
Yeah.
going on? That's messed up. You guys, it's a big mess. So
It seems like that's the thing casinos don't like is commotions. Like inside
yeah,
outs, it's like let's just run it, let's just go smooth. And like if we have
yeah,
to, we'll take you
yeah.
into this side room and we'll talk to you there. But we're not having commotions out and about in
It's
front of
smart,
people.
right? It's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely the way
Okay.
to think. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
You had mentioned like, and I like to talk about, perks, benefits, stuff like that. So you had mentioned kind of insurance, 401k, all that stuff. So you get all that.
Yeah.
And then perks, is there like perks that we might not know? So, he had mentioned, hey, I get to work outside. That's a big perk for a lot of people who have to work
Yeah.
inside. But did you get like discounts through the hotel, casino, anything like that?
Good question. Yes, yeah, actually we do. We do get employee discounts for
That's cool.
rooms. Not the greatest, but it's definitely something. I mean, I'm very
Sure.
blessed for anything. Because you do it for family as well. That's the cool
Oh, that's
thing. It's
cool.
not just me. Like if family came in, that we had, there was like a whole website and everything that I can direct them to, or that's like, yeah, though that's a good perk too. But another good perk is when you do have your social skills, and you are friendly to others, and you're friendly to other employees
Mm,
in the hotel. You start to you can build friendships and relationships with maybe the front desk, or certain people that could be like, hey, because I mean, anything we do, it's I rub your back, you rub my back. I help
of
you out,
course.
you help me out, kind of thing. It's the same kind of even in casinos, it's the same thing, or whatever we do, kind of
Yeah.
thing. You give me this interview, Brandon. I got you for something else as well. It's
All
just
right.
it
You heard it
absolutely.
here.
Seriously, it's one of those things, and that's the beauty of this job as well, especially on the
Yeah.
strip, because they're not only are there perks with communicating and creating relationships with people inside the hotel where you could benefit from, like
Sure.
cheaper rooms or this and that, or um but also the people that you meet coming in, though,
That's
because
true.
think about that for a second. It's
That's true.
valet over self parking.
Hmm.
Those that valet, not every single one of them, but those that valet, they tend to want something. They tend to want that. Hey, that good service. That, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got someone to park in my car for me. Like,
That's
oh yeah,
yeah.
I'm cool. Kind of thing. But
They pay extra for the
I
guac.
valet.
They're
Yeah,
like,
right.
"Hey, add guac? Go ahead. Throw it
Yeah.
on there." Yeah,
Well,
totally.
like you
They
valeted
like that
before, I
extra
valeted
comfort.
before. Right.
Sure.
I want, like I feel cool. I feel someone's
Oh, yeah.
attending to me. Yeah. So and that's the thing though. So basically some there's wealthy people coming in. There's people with a lot of money in their pockets, and they're very um they're just they just they present themselves really well, and so you can tell they got, they're well off. They speak very well, and you just feel like, wow, okay, so you can build connections with even these guests coming in the hotel,
Yeah.
and that's a thing too. It's like you can actually, like, there's been a couple things in the past where, like, I didn't mean to, but I've marketed myself because of my personality. And like, hey man, why
Sure.
don't you come work for me? Like, this is,
Oh,
hey,
damn.
what's hey,
Okay.
you're awesome. You're an awesome valet attendant. I love your personality. You know what? Come work for me. And this guy's, he's over here gambling, a ton of money or
Yeah.
whatnot. And
Yeah.
he must be doing okay, kind of thing. So
For
it
real.
says, yeah, there's definitely perks there as well with people coming into your hotel,
Mhm.
as long as you have the right mentality, and you're positive, and you're there to have fun, and try to make people's life more fun while they're there coming in, because you're the first. That's the thing about valets. You're the first person that they see coming in the casino, and you're the last person they see coming in the casino. I think valets are very important.
Yeah, because 'cause you're the bookends. You're the bookends to, like, their visit, where you
Yeah,
go, if you automatically I go and I drop my and I, like, fill your route, I'm like, "Oh, now I already have a bad taste going in." Let's
yeah,
say I gamble, I lose something, I come back out and now I'm just it's a whole terrible experience, but if it was good on the back end or
I
good
could
on the
say
front
that.
end, yeah, maybe not so hot in the middle when you're gambling and, maybe winning, maybe losing more, and then good on the back end, it still then seems like, "Oh, it was a good trip overall."
I can
It's
comfort
like,
that blow a little bit. I can comfort that
exactly.
blow. That's the way I look at it too. I could definitely, turn that frown upside down at least a little bit, in the
Hey,
sense of, like, losing a lot of money. I mean, they're coming in here, they're coming to gamble, having a good time. Sometimes you lose. It's unfortunate. It is a casino. You lose
right.
sometimes. It is what it is.
They
But
wouldn't be in business if everybody won all the time.
right, the casinos look pretty good. That's all I'm saying. There's
Yeah.
a reason for that.
Yeah, there's
They're
something
pretty
going
big
on
and they
there.
look nice.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wonder where that money's
Uh,
coming from. But it is what it is.
no kidding. Uh, is there a job hierarchy? So, like, is there a valet, like, attendant that's higher on the totem pole than you, or are there people, like, lower than you, either just started out or haven't been doing it as long, something like that?
Yeah, so basically, this to start off, it would be, I mean, okay, in valet, it would
Yeah.
be a parking attendant, valet parking attendant, which is myself, and then above that is a supervisor. And so
Mhm.
basically, just a supervisor, just someone supervising everything else, letting know when to go lunches, how to organize the time, making sure we always have somebody on, in the driveway, everything's running smooth, kind of thing. And then above that is management, and that's pretty much it. So everyone's parking attendant. You have a supervisor, but supervisor also parks and pulls cars, parks cars, pulls them up as well. Does the same thing as valet, but just has a little more authority. If
Gotcha.
he needs me to bring a car over here, I'll bring it over here. If he needs me to help, do something over here, go to lunch or whatever I got to do,
Yeah.
I listen to my
There
supervisor.
was, like, a dispute, he has the final say kinda thing.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yes, exactly
Okay.
right.
Okay. And then is that something that you want to be in the future? Don't care to be? Feel like, hey, I'm good where I'm at right now. I like my tips. I don't want to be supervising anybody. I want to just do my thing. Or is that like I aspire to be supervisor someday?
So I was already a supervisor.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. That answers that.
I started at 18. I started at 18, and at 23, I was a supervisor already. Maybe even younger than that, actually. I had a couple great ideas with what I with my depart with valet. and
Mhm.
people saw that. Other employees of mine saw that and said, just thought I'd be a good leader. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll give it a
Try it out.
shot. You know,
Sure.
I felt confident in what I was doing and felt I was doing my job well. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and supervise. So actually, I did supervise. I supervised for, man, I would say at least 3 years,
Wow.
3 or 4 years. I did that actually, and it's unfortunate that the pay isn't a whole lot more like hourly. But the thing is we work off tips anyway, so it's not really
That's
about. It wasn't really about that, about
yeah.
like the extra money an hour kind of thing.
But if you're
Me,
like supervising, maybe you have less chance to get, cars and get tipped and stuff like that. So in the end, when you're like looking at the final books, it's like, wait a second, this isn't really adding up the way I
yeah,
thought it was going to. Okay.
yeah. Well,
Interesting.
with the Valet, the hotel I work at with Valet, we actually pull tips together. So whether you're a
Oh,
supervisor or not, we all get the same amount of tips at the end of the
there
day.
you go.
So
Okay,
yeah,
that's
so it
interesting.
wasn't about that whatsoever. It would just be me basically having the opportunity of supervising those that thought I would be a good supervisor, and I feel like I was a pretty dang good leader actually. I do respect a lot of people. I care for a lot of people. I care for how the job is run. Care for my hotel. And
Yeah.
I felt like I did a pretty good job running it the time I ran it. But then there was an issue that happened, and I just decided just to step back because it was a little stressful, and
Yeah.
I thought that was best for me and my family, and so
There you
I
go.
took a step back. Yeah,
That's I think that's admirable in any person's like life when you see something coming down the way and you're like, ah, you know what?
yeah,
I'm just gonna
the
remove
stress.
myself. I'm just gonna,
Yeah,
yeah, it's not worth
yeah,
it. I'll be happier in the end.
yes,
I
and
totally
I am.
understand that vibe.
I'm
All right,
happy here.
that's good. That's good.
Thank you.
If I were starting tomorrow and you're coming into work tomorrow and they go, hey, we got you a new attendant. His name is Brandon. He knows nothing about this job. And I go, Andrew, you've been here a long time. What's a good piece of advice you have for me? What would you say?
You're in trouble. Get out of here. I
Run,
was like,
run.
we got to get this guy out of here. No,
Fair enough.
um,
Fair enough.
no, no. I would basically say just keep your head up. Like just be positive, have some fun. There's a ton of people. There's people out there that you might run into that could change your life. It's just that cool of an environment. That way I look at it. Um, and there's money to be made out there. I mean, that's what Valet is. It's about making a tip. It's about making that tip. Like at the end of the day, no matter what you look at it, if you can try to talk to a guest better and be kind and have that smile, you have a way better chance of getting that tip than you do
Yeah.
just like, hey, how are you? How's everything today? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. So monotone,
Here's your car. Here's
that
your, yeah.
energy,
Hmm.
that energy,
Okay.
you bring that energy, you have a great opportunity to make some money, great
That's good.
opportunity. And
Nice.
I think that's the key. If anyone wants to valet, like if they're going to school or they even want to make it as a career, it's if you have that. And there are like there's also doormen, like doormen out there, like in
Yeah.
all over the world. Like there's a reason why there's doormen that are older as well, that
Yeah.
they're in their 40s and 50s and 60s, because think about that. It's because of
Yeah.
the way their personalities are. It's how they know how to talk to people. It's
Yeah.
you kind of need that, like you're kind of aged, like a fine wine kind of thing. You know how to
Right.
talk to people one on one. Sometimes you don't want that 18-year-old kid getting putting you in a
Yeah.
cab or a limo or whatever.
Or looking at his phone while he's like, yeah, what? What'd you say? Oh, sorry. What'd you say? Oh, yeah,
Right.
totally.
I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just
Okay.
I'm just
That
checking my
makes sense.
Insta real quick.
I
Hold
never
on, real
thought about
quick.
that from that standpoint of like, yeah, I guess if there's an, older person doing a job that you might usually think like, oh, it's for a younger person, maybe they're just really good at it and make a
Yes.
bunch of money,
Right.
through tips
Absolutely.
or other
No.
avenues. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
absolutely. Some of the guys that I've worked with sometime that been here. I'm growing up with them because I started 18. I'm now 36 myself. Or I will be 36. I'll be 36. And it's the things that we learn in that adventure, in that path, and these little perks that we get. Like, oh, okay, I can do this better to maybe make a little more money, but also make the guests happier too. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about it. It's a win-win. I can help a guest, like just the other day, I helped a guest get direction. I gave them great directions to another door at my hotel, and they said they were just being run around. They have to talk to like three different people, and they could not get good directions from these three other people, other valet attendants, somewhere else, and they said they just couldn't figure out how to get to the front of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just really good at that now because I get it all the time. And so that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like whatever job we do, we want to, like, at least for me, and the way I look at things is we want to be better. You want to do it
Sure.
better, and if you can help people at the same time, you're succeeding. That's success right there.
Yeah.
So that's what I basically, over the time, I'm like, okay, let me talk to this guest here. I calmed them down because they were frustrated already, because they were like, where
Of
the heck is this
course.
place?
Yeah.
I gave them really good directions, or just the normal directions I could give them. And they're like, oh my gosh, that was
Yeah.
so good. We really appreciate those directions. They gave me like $10. They gave me $10 just for me giving directions. I
Just
didn't park
for
the
just
car.
for being
I
nice. Yeah.
Nothing. That's it. That's
Okay.
it. It's nothing,
Okay.
nothing at all, And but there's been times where I've helped guests in the driveway. I've given them tickets for valet, and I've just helped them with their bags, even taking bags out of their car for them, just
Mhm.
opening doors for them. Some people appreciate that, and I've gotten anywhere between $5 and $100 tip just for that, little things like
Gotcha.
that. So I mean, there's definitely money to be made with valet, and it's a great opportunity to get yourself out there and meet people, because
Yeah.
everyone runs. A lot of people run through Las Vegas. That's the
That's
thing
true.
too with Las
That's
Vegas.
true. Yeah, a lot
Lots
of
of
people come
people
through.
run through Las
Hmm.
Vegas worldwide, not
Yeah,
just
that's
nationwide,
true.
worldwide.
That's very true. Um, so I have like some other things I want to talk about, but I'd rather just get
Shoot.
into the job questions because I feel like they're so much better than all the regular normal stuff. And
Yeah,
we've basically covered pretty much everything I wanted to. So a
nice.
couple things I always wanted to know or about valet and maybe your valet especially, but what's the like nicest car you've ever got to drive?
Ooh. Okay. So at the time, I always picture this. It was just like it was just yesterday. There was this Mercedes McLaren. I'm pretty sure it was a McLaren Mercedes, two door, and this guy was like it was like a jet. The
Yeah.
doors flapped open like this,
Oh, okay.
and I was blown away by that because the first time I ever saw that,
Yeah.
and I sit in the car, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, just sit in the dang thing. The leather
Yeah.
seat, the cushion. I mean, just you feel tight, but like not too tight.
Yep. Yep. It's like a nice tense hug. Yeah.
Yes, you had to just stop for a moment and be like, wow, this is
Yeah.
nice.
It'd have
Okay,
been like I'm taking my
and
lunch break in this car. Sorry, guys.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry for the lettuce on
Yeah,
the
sorry.
side of the
I'll
seat
get
over there.
that
I
off
apologize.
later. Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. But the coolest thing is, so I sit in the car, and I'm looking to how to start the car. It's not a normal like just
I
put
would
the key in the
assume.
ignition.
Yeah.
I'm like, I had a hard time. I was like, how do you start this dang car? I'm looking on the side of the wheel, behind the wheel, and everything like
Mhm.
that. What the heck? I look over, and the shifter, like for like a manual car or even an automatic car, the shifter right there.
Sure.
There's a little red tab on the top, like you can flip up, you can flip
Oh,
open. You
wow.
flip, there's
Okay.
little like red little plastic tab. You flip up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what do you think's waiting for you?
A nice red button.
A
Mhm.
little red
I
button, like
knew
you're
it had
gonna
to be.
launch a missile. Like you're gonna
Yep.
launch a freaking missile in a jet.
Yep.
It was the coolest thing. It was one of the
Wow.
coolest things. I'll never forget it.
So that kind of leads me into my next question, which I was going to ask based on fanciest of cars. Has there ever been cars that you've gotten into that you go, I do not know how to work this thing? Like, and you got to
Oh,
sit there and try and figure it out for a second,
oh
or like
yeah,
touch screen, or like maybe the
yeah.
first time like a Tesla
More,
came in, you're like, what the heck do I do with this?
more now than ever. Yeah,
Yeah.
more now than ever. Absolutely, with technology the way it is now, and everyone, and because of Tesla, everyone wants to be like a Tesla. Everyone
Hmm.
wants to have the touch screen features with everything, or cars just start up on their own now. You don't have to
Yeah.
do anything. You just sit in the dang car, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm going. Okay,
Feels the weight. Yeah. It's
we're
like, oh,
going.
somebody's in it. We're going. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Dang.
Yeah, you sit down. It's the But just by adding weight to the seat, it knows that you're in the seat. The like Tesla doors will close for you. You don't have to touch the door. You get
Yeah.
close to it. You tap on the door. It just opens up for you. You sit in the
Wow.
car, and the door will close for you. Yeah, yeah.
Jeez.
So it's
That's
insane. And yeah, and then
okay.
you just you put it in drive and you go. And but yeah, there's been some cars over the past where We're like, what the heck is going on? How the heck do I start this dang thing?
Yeah.
It's just insane. Yeah, it's insane. But like the longer you're here, the longer you're here in Valet, the more experience you have, the more you start to look other places and elsewhere to be like, okay,
Sure.
this is
You're
where
like,
that
okay, there's
is. Okay,
tradition. Yeah, there's something
yes.
over here. Okay,
Where's the brake?
gotcha.
Oh wait, brake is still in the same spot. Okay, thank
Okay,
goodness.
yeah,
That's important.
that's good. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's important.
gas brake. All right, those are same.
Yes.
Okay, we're good. Okay. Um, if you, and I mean, maybe this is more of like a protocol answer. I'm not your boss. I'm not here to whatever. But if you like, based off of protocol or whatever, if you suspect somebody that comes out to get their car is severely intoxicated,
Ooh, good question.
is there like a protocol for that where you go, hey, we'll call you a cab, we'll call you an Uber, but like come back tomorrow and we'll give you your keys or something like that?
Good question. That's a good question. Yeah, that one. So everyone, and I'm almost positive every valet attendant or like bartenders, same thing kind of actually is
Sure.
you have to have a TAM card. So that's
Okay.
it's basically like you take a class and you have to update it like every few years or whatnot. You take a TAM card and it's for that, for like
Oh
alcohol
wow.
awareness, basically.
Okay.
And because yeah, we're responsible now.
Sure.
It's I'm giving this car away to those that are in a casino, and there's gambling and there's alcohol.
Yeah.
And sometimes those two don't mix, especially when you're losing,
No.
especially when you're losing,
Mhm.
and so that could be it's a very but it's judgmental because um you it's a private property, and all almost all casinos are, I think, are private properties.
Sure.
And you can't keep the car from them. That's what sucks. You
Oh,
can't
like by
keep
law,
the
yeah.
Yes, by law, I
Mhm.
cannot keep the car from them. I mean, even on the ticket, there's writing on every ticket that it doesn't matter. It's their car. It's their
Yeah.
private property. It's their private property, and they're on private property. And there's nothing that we
Wow.
can do unless they do something like damage something. Then okay, then we can
Sure.
call the cops. But it's like we're giving them the car. But I've got a couple of stories about that. There's a couple successful stories and there's a couple unsuccessful. And when I say unsuccessful, I'm not saying like, oh, that they damaged,
Sure.
they crashed. It's just the successful ones is I talk to the guests and I tell them, I'm straight up with them, like I care for people. So
Yeah.
that's part of the job too. It's like, I care for the person driving the car, and I care for the people that they're going to be in driving when they're out away from the
Yeah.
casino. It
Around.
could
Sure.
it could be your family, Brandon. It could be my family out there. It could be our
Sure.
friends. You just don't know, and that's the scary thing about drinking and
Yeah.
driving. I don't recommend it whatsoever, of course, but it happens. And yeah, there was a couple times where I was able to talk to a guest the way I talk to them. That's the kicker. It all
Mhm.
depends on how you confront, because what some people, when they're intoxicated, they get a little angry.
Yeah. Nobody wants to feel like their parents telling them
Yeah,
like, "Hey, no, you can't do this." Like,
right.
and then it's like, "No, watch me. I definitely can." But if you can like reason, yeah.
They really want to now. If you
Sure.
talk to them the wrong way, even if you talk to them
Mhm.
the right way, but there's some that you talk to them the right way and you calm them down and you say, I believe you're a little intoxicated. And if you get them to agree with you on that first part, it usually downhill from there,
Yeah.
because they're like, okay, this gentleman's acknowledging that I'm intoxicated. I didn't want to believe it in my head because I just want to get out of here. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, someone else is noticing that I'm that intoxicated. And
Right.
I'm just here to help them. And I tell them like, yeah, what, it's best maybe get a cab, or Uber and Lyft is actually so beneficial to that now. It's been
Yeah.
very helpful because yeah, it's at the click of a phone now.
So
Tap of
easy.
a button,
Yeah.
it's so easy, So that's very helpful. I'm very for blessed and thankful that they have that opportunity to do that. And yeah, I've talked to some guests out of driving their car. I'll get them some water. But sometimes yeah, I'll get them water and they'll just go sit on the bench for like an hour or
Chill
two
for a little
sober up.
bit.
Yeah, chill for
Sure.
a little bit, and they'll come back and hey, I'm ready for my car, and you can tell the difference sometimes. Even an
Yeah.
hour or two, it's amazing. That could save a life right there.
Yeah. Well, that and like it could be too, they're coming off of a loss and then
Yep.
and so like everything's ramped and it's like, dude,
So high.
breathe
That
for a
level.
little bit, chill for a
Yeah.
little bit, everything comes
Yes.
down, you calm back
Back down.
down. All
Yep.
right.
Absolutely. Hmm.
What's the biggest tip you've ever gotten?
Oh wow. The biggest tip I've ever gotten.
Yeah, or that you've seen. It doesn't necessarily have to be you. If you like seen somebody or heard of a crazy story, or like I don't know,
I've got
there's
okay.
got to be
I'll give you both.
something.
I'll give you both. No, I'll give you
Okay.
both. Absolutely. So the biggest tip I've ever gotten was $400 for one
Wow.
car.
Okay.
One guy coming in.
Wow.
It was just
I
like
was gonna guess 100. Yeah.
peeling off. Yeah, well, I've gotten a few of those,
Sure.
but $400 this guy gave
Ooh.
me is in front of our hotel, our main valet, and
Dang.
he was just like peeled them off like they were singles, and I'm like, man, oh man. And that's
Must
the
be
thing too,
nice.
like with this job, Brandon, it's like it inspires you to get your butt into like
Yeah. Something where I can do that.
some more
Yeah.
money where I can peel off and give like here's
Yeah.
$400. I
Why
remember
not?
me getting $400. You know what? I'm gonna do the same for you.
Yep.
You're welcome. So it's
Totally.
like that. So my biggest was 400, but there is one story that I only heard about because I wasn't there.
It's urban legend. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and it includes a brown paper bag. Let's just put
Oh
it that way.
shoot. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Dang. All
and
right.
so a guy
I like that.
years before I got hired, a guy just came into the front of the driveway. There was only two guys there. It was on graveyard. Two guys. Now think about that for a second. Two or
Yeah.
three. And so the way it works with our
The
tips or most
pooling.
valets too is we all pull together. You count how many hours are there, and then you divide it up amongst
That
that.
makes sense.
So guy comes in the driveway, and I don't know, he must have hit something, or I don't know what the heck.
Sure. Let's
Why
say you
he's
hit a big
got
jackpot.
money in a paper bag, bro, in a paper bag,
Yeah.
and he gave it to him, and it was like $2,000.
Ooh. Dang.
Yeah, so that's the biggest tip that guy ever got.
Dang. Yeah. Right.
I'm a
Where's
little
that guy? I
short
need
on
to
that
talk to
one.
him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Jeez.
I don't know if he's working there anymore. I'm not
Two
sure if you can talk
grand.
to him. But yeah,
Yikes.
unbelievable. Yeah. It was like
Wow.
$2,000 a brown paper bag. And like, yeah, that's few and far between for sure.
Sure.
But
That's why
unbelievable.
it's a crazy
And that's the
story.
thing.
Like if it was
That well,
happening
and
every
that's
day, it wouldn't be a
right,
crazy
right, right.
story. Yeah.
But I'm sure you know what, Brandon? I'm
Yeah.
sure almost every hotel probably has a story like that. That's the
Oh, I'm
beauty of
sure.
like that's the beauty of Vegas and where I work. It's just
Yeah. Well, and like if somebody does hit it big, then it's
oh
like,
yeah,
if I came in and hit like a, multi hundred, $100,000 or jackpot or something, everybody's getting paid.
yep,
Everybody's getting paid on the
yeah.
way
I don't
out.
need a
Like,
brown
here's a
paper
grand for
bag to
you.
take
Here's a
care of
grand for you.
anybody.
Here's a grand for you. Yep.
Yeah,
Let's go.
absolutely.
Why not? Spread the
Absolutely. Yeah.
wealth.
Yep. Couldn't agree with you more.
And then the last question I have is back to like another protocol question here, but
Yeah.
what's protocol if you damage somebody's car? So like not that they come in and like smash into something or whatever, because I'm sure that's just, insurance, whatever. But
Yeah.
like if you're driving that McLaren and you take a
Mhm.
corner too hot or something and
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, it really that's happened before, and there's
oof,
all depends on the car you're driving and the amount of damage. That's the
sure.
kicker. So, well, and that's why if you're driving a McLaren, you better be a little careful with that
Yeah,
pedal
go a
because
little slower.
if you do damage it, those parts cost a little more than it does on a Toyota
Yeah,
Corolla.
that's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
That's true.
And that could save your job. And that's yeah, and
Uh-huh.
like there's damage amounts. Like if you damage something that's over like $2,500, I think that's a termination right there, right off the bat. Yeah, but if you damage anything less than that, which I think it's only happened one time at my job at Valet, was one time someone damaged more than that, and so they had to let them go. They were just protocol, like you said,
Mhm.
protocol.
Yep.
But yeah, like if I do damage something that's less than that, there's a drug test. You
Sure.
sometimes you have to get drug tested to make sure
Oh, that's
you're not
interesting.
under the influence.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah, because
because
that
that's
then
the thing.
indemnifies like all liability from the
Right,
the hotel. They're like that. You're on your own now. Sorry, bud.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right. So if you pass
Okay.
a drug test, you're insured. So because
Hmm.
I've I can tell you a story about my first accident I got into.
Oh,
It was
okay. If you
a
want to share, please.
dummy
I would love
moment. It
it.
was a dummy moment. I'll never forget it. I was like 6 months on the job, and so I
Oh,
was new, maybe less than
six
six actually.
months.
I was new,
Oh,
and I was uh, I'm making sure because we back all cars up. You have to back in almost everywhere you valet. You got to back cars in because it's easier when you pull up the car. You got to go. You
yeah.
go.
Just get in and go.
Fast paced. So I'm backing a car in, and it's between a pillar and another car, and I'm backing the car in, and I wasn't sure if it was backed up far enough. So I get out of the car to make sure it was backed up far enough. Well, I forgot the car was still in reverse. I forgot to put
Oh,
it in park.
that
So
could be
I
a bit of an issue.
so I I panicked, but the car was going slow, right? So there
Sure.
was a brick wall behind me though. So there was a brick wall right behind me.
Oh no, I can already see where this is going.
So there was luckily there was a curve, right? There
Oh
were, you know,
no.
those the concrete
Uh-huh.
curves in the back.
Yeah.
So it's slowly going back, but I panic. I jump in the car and I try to slam the brake. I didn't hit the brake. That pedal to the right of the brake, and I hit the gas. I went right over that concrete curve and bam, right into that
Oh
wall.
no. Oh
And
no.
I remember my coworker, he was like, maybe like 100 yards, maybe like 50 yards away. And he like kind of laughed and he's like, ah, don't worry about it. We got insurance. It's okay. And I just felt so bad though, because
Of
like, oh my
course.
God, that is damage this guy's car. Like, oh, they're going to get so mad at me, yada, yada, yada. So like, that's like anything we do, any job we do, there's going to be accidents.
Of
But it
course.
just all depends on the severity of them. Like, you know, if you're in a McLaren,
Yeah.
you're trying to test that bad boy out, like, you know, if you're on the freeway and you get into an accident, well, you know, you might have lost your job
Yeah, oh yeah.
there.
I would assume. I would
Sorry.
assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dang, that's
Sorry.
wild. Wild. Yeah, I didn't. I had that in my head. I was like, he's gonna jump in and hit the wrong pedal.
Yeah.
I just freaking know it. I
Yep.
just know it.
Yep.
Oh
That's
man,
what
that's
happened.
terrible. That's
Yeah.
tough. So that's about it I have for you. Something I always like to ask before we get to the very last segment here is there something that you thought we should talk about that we didn't, or that you thought I was going to ask that I didn't, or something that you just, you think specifically to the job is important for people to know?
I think the best thing with my job or with any jobs, like especially if it's not like not a career, because you know, like that's the one thing that I've definitely juggled with in my life. 18 years of life here, it's been a long time. You know, I mean, I've provided a family like that. It's just, you know, still be happy, be
Sure.
positive, happy. Success is a very broad word for, you know, especially when it comes to jobs. And sometimes there's people who are doctors and extremely unhappy, and I
Mhm.
might be happier than some of these people who make a ton more money than I do, or bigger profession, or you know, with a higher title than me. And I'm not
Sure.
trying to, you know, down on them and all whatsoever, but it's just, you know, success is also happiness. I
Yeah.
guess that's the one thing that I could say that's helped me get through my path here with Valet. I mean, I don't want it to be the end of my life. I do want to do other things as well. But that's the success is trying to be in the moment and trying to be as happy as possible as you can,
Right.
and you know, make some more money out of it that way too.
Yeah, it's kind of how you define success. Like
Yeah,
somebody might go, "Hey, being successful to me is me making the most amount of money I can, so that's what I aim for." Okay, fine.
no matter
Nope,
how it is.
no problem
Exactly.
here.
Yeah,
And if somebody else goes, "Hey, success to me is I like a good work-life balance so I can spend time with my family and be happy," then more power to you. Like, who am
yeah,
I to tell you
yeah,
what success is or isn't? Like,
yeah.
everybody has their own views on that. I think that's a great way of looking at it and like kind of keeping that in perspective for all jobs.
Definitely. Thank you.
Definitely. Um, Last bit of the podcast here, I always like to leave for my guests. So if there's a cause, charity, thing you think people need to know or be aware of in the world today, or just something you want to share with everybody, here's your time.
I would say, well, I'm a father of three, and I love my children to death. And I would say just, you know, do everything you can for these kids. They're our future. They're our future. They're going to be taking care of you and myself. So try
That's
to be
true.
a better father or better person around kids. You don't have to just have kids, but or donation to any children organization. I guess that would be the one if I were to say
Nice.
anything to any children organization, because they're our future for sure.
Yeah. You can just be a better person too to anyone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like to kids, and you don't have to have a
Yes.
nephew, niece, like whatever. It can just
But
be a
I
better
say
person.
mostly children though. I say mostly children because they can be a lot. They could be,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, because
Oh
they're
yeah.
kids. They don't know any better. That it could really stress you out, and you can get really flustered very easily because
Yeah.
how, like, you know, how tough they can be. But they're just
Oh
kids.
sure.
We were all kids once, you know. So we have to remind ourselves
That's
that we put ourselves in their shoes.
Yeah, that's the thing I think a lot of people forget is like,
Yeah.
"Yo, you were a kid once too. Like,
Don't
it's
take it
okay.
easy on it.
Like,
Take
you'll
it
be
easy
all
on it.
that'll be alright." Yeah, it'll
Take
be
those deep
alright.
breaths and just have fun
Mhm.
with them.
That's a great message I think to leave for people.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to do this for me. I mean, I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it, obviously. But I think I think it's good for people to kind of like we said in the beginning, it's good for people to know all types of jobs out there where
Yeah.
it's something you go, hey, you don't have to have a degree, you don't have to whatever, you just gotta be a good person, nice, friendly.
So I love this podcast. Great idea. I just think it's just an amazing idea to get all these jobs into one podcast,
Yeah.
and into one area. And it's a brilliant idea. Way to
Yeah.
go,
And
Brandon.
hear from the people that do it. That's my thing. Like you can look
Yeah.
up online, what does a valet do? But
Right.
how about just listen to somebody that does it? They'll tell
Yeah.
you what it's like. Like,
Such a good idea.
oh, thank you.
Such
I
a-
appreciate it.
yeah,
But thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
absolutely. You're welcome.
Well, that's it for another episode of the Jobology podcast. Thank you, Andrew, for sharing your story with us. Before I let you guys go, a couple quick reminders. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow our Jobology podcast on all major social media platforms. And make sure you're commenting what jobs you'd like to see next. Like we say to end every episode, make good choices.